We're going to go to a Twitter question right now. I believe it is on what is he going to do to increase the amount of low-income housing in Calgary? There is an urgent need.
There has been an urgent need for some time. And in fact, we're lucky because the vacancy rate has gone down a little bit. So it's made it a little bit easier for people who can afford market rent to be able to find places. But there's always going to be a subset of people who cannot afford market rents. So let me back up a little bit. You got to have pressure valves at every part of the system. So we have a program called Attainable Homes Calgary. And that's to help people get into home ownership faster than they ever thought they could by helping out with the down payment. So if you're a renter and you've got the income to qualify for a mortgage but you haven't been able to save up for the down payment, check out Attainable Homes. Because then that of course frees up a rental property for someone else to be able to rent. So we have to be able to have a greater number of market rental properties at market rents. You know, before the economic downturn, we actually had almost a dozen, if I've got that number right, it might be a half dozen, specific rental properties being built in Calgary, and it was the first time we'd had purpose-built rental built in decades. The other issue here, of course, is my greatest policy failure with 2 different city councils, and that is you got to have safe, legalized secondary suites that meet code. You know, we have to approve every single one of these at council in front of the full council. We spend an entire day doing it on Monday. It's a ridiculous situation. And I take some of that on. I have not been able to convince 7 of my council colleagues to agree with me. If you can convince your councillor to agree with me, please call your councillor. And then the part that the Twitter question was really about is what do we do about that level of housing for people who need help, who actually need subsidized housing provided by government or the nonprofit sector. And I got to tell you, the federal and provincial governments have not built not a single unit of housing in years in Calgary. And the new provincial and new federal governments have made a real commitment to building more affordable housing. Money hasn't started flowing yet, and I'm hoping it will. From the city's part, what we need to do is find land and make that available. We need to cut the red tape and make sure that it's easy to get these things built once the funding is in place. And we need to make sure that we can get the housing out to the market. So the good news is there are nonprofit organizations, a lot of them working together in a wonderful thing called the Resolve campaign, which is all about raising funds for affordable housing, building that now. And one of the things I've finally been able to do with the city is we've done an inventory of every single piece of land we have in the city that could be used for a small or mid-sized affordable housing project. And we'll be able to release those to people in the nonprofit sector to build houses on relatively quickly this year.
Okay.